Yeah, actually, they had to remake
Well, it took them forever. They had to remake it, so got it. Here it is right there. So we do. Oh my God. Well, that shot didn't work out. In front of my glasses and everything. Okay, so we got one closed here that we're okay on the left side. 88 miles per hour, Marty. There we go. Got it. it's like an Adam the Woo psychological fit, which is probably going on everywhere. If he's got 500,000 subscribers or more, which is probably driving him crazy. Oh, sorry about that. There you go. Didn't even see it. Be careful with that. I almost had it for Diet Coke, but luckily I got rid of it. Yeah, you gotta look in the bottoms of them. The flap kind of goes kind of at an angle. Oh, you got it. Got another one. Okay. I'm trying to get everything straightened. Okay, here we go. Something weird. It just gets weird sometimes. But I think it's cool. Sunsets, you know, they're not always like that every day. I'm gonna do a closer one right here. It's pretty cool. Of course, you get obstruction right there. It's got object. I object. It doesn't say anything. Nothing happens. It doesn't matter. The structure still stays there and interrupts the shot because we're doing two things at once. You can see it right here. Isn't that cool? And then we go this way. Okay, hi, how are you? It's gonna be for the name of Marcus. Yep. Oh dear, that's okay. Yep, perfect. I see. So that's the fair that's going on right next to Buc-ee's. You can see Buc-ee's right there. Barely see it. But so they bring in these fairs all the time, and they're pretty cool. You can see them going at it right now. right by Tangier Outlet. I guess you could call it the Tangier Outlet Fair. Do like a longer shot so you can hear better. But you can see, or a wider shot, that that one's the Viper, or one of them. And then next to it, I don't know what that one's called. The Viper is the one on the left side, but it's right there, Tangier Outlets. And there's Buc-ee's. Okay, there's some kind of lightning that was going on somewhere around there, and it just disappeared for a second. Anyway, I don't know. I guess the storm's not coming, but it was like a little lightning storm. But that looks pretty cool right there. Yeah, it's beautiful. I just get, you know, like all this vlogging and stuff for me, it came out of visual. Storytelling came later, and then structuring, and then going after pop culture and filming locations. But it all started as a visual thing. Do you see it right over that way? I just thought it was cool to kind of look at stuff and then like pick up something and be able to see it again in a different format, as in this thing, whatever it does. And so when I was an Uber driver, I was driving around. I had a little Samsung 8, and I just would flip out and see the big buildings. I'd have to get it on video. But I didn't start there, though. I started officially when I was very young with a video camera, like a Sony video camera. But we started with storytelling, really. We like to make like fake horror films, or we'd make like comical horror films, you know, the kind of funny horror films. My cousin and I, my cousin runs a little studio up in Olympia, not too far from Seattle, Washington. He runs a television little studio there. So we would play around and do like pretend movies. One was called Monsters of Nanny's House. The other one was called Adventures with Coffee, which was a Paul Walden and Whole Hawthorne story. And I think the other one, it was a Saturday Night Live, like Saturday Night Live skit kind of stuff. We were making fun of Saturday Night Live. Well, we did it's called Adventures with Coffee. Basically, Mike Myers was kind of our inspiration. So we were big Mike Myers fans. So we were like, oh, okay. Then we did another one called Cole's World, which was a version of Wayne's World. But I think the third one, we started scripting. So we actually started writing like a script. And it was called Kidnapped by a Carnivore, which was a story of Morrissey from the Smiths getting kidnapped by a carnivore. And it was another kind of like comedy. And we all spoke in this English accent, and we had this store. We had a store that we had, and the store, it was called Everything British, you know, that kind of thing. So in Everything British, which we all talk like this, we had this store, and it was kind of like not Liverpool, but more Manchester. And we had all these Morrissey and Smiths albums that we were selling. And we really were kind of effeminate, and we had these Smith shirts, and we were big Stephen Patrick Morrissey fans. So it switched over to another corner of the room, and we did start playing The Police for a sequence, and we did all of this stuff, and we were just laughing, and we did these characters, the two characters, I don't remember their names right now, but they would travel, so they were like travelers, and they would jump on a plane. So we made a paper cartoon, a paper plane. It was a paper plane that we flew across the window on a string, and that was how we were flying. And we flew in the plane and landed somewhere else looking for Morrissey. We flew to Texas, I think, and we were looking for Morrissey in Fort Worth because he was kidnapped by this carnivore who was played by me also. And then my cousin played, I guess, an English version of himself, Rob. I know a lot of people named Rob. But regardless, it was awesome. If I'm not mistaken, we did play The Police. I do think we did play an amazing song, which was actually called, it goes like, don't stand so, don't stand so, don't stand so close to me. And so my cousin would stand in the corner of the room, and we did this kind of like Gus Van Sant like sections, the shots, And then I would walk up and he would kind of walk away, and the song was playing, and I was the carnivore looking to kidnap, because there was this carnivore that was kidnapping the Smith's fans, and also Morrissey was be kept in this like shack in the backyard. It's totally true, not lying about any of this at all. So to edit, we use the mostly sometimes for the horror films, which this wasn't the same character that did it, we use like a Nintendo. So we use a Nintendo to edit, not the actual Nintendo, but for the music. We plugged it in through the out and in cords for the AUX, you know, where the cords go in from the in and out, the blue and the red, I'm sorry, the black and the red cord, and they would plug in. I think 3 of them would plug in. But we could also plug those same cords from a VCR, or we could plug it into a stereo and even play a tape of Lock the Police. For some reason, we didn't use the Smiths. We used the Police. The "Don't Stand So Close to Me," that song, whatever it's called. I can't remember the song right now. But we did play that. We had these very thick Manchester accents, which you were taking from Homeless, which was a documentary about Morrissey, and we were big Morrissey fans, about Morrissey in Manchester. And it was amazing, and we did this in the early 90s. And now he has his own television studio, and I'm some nut on the phone with my own YouTube, going against Bob Lavelle's orders and making my own vlog. It was so much fun. I loved it. Loved it. Also, just to let you know, I did hug Morrissey. I physically hugged him, and I was asked to not do that again by security. It is actually true. I did hug Morrissey, and I did do a vlog on it. But at the time, when I did it, I realized that it was quite dangerous, and it did turn into a mob that day. It was a horrible mob. And the rumor was, it was a Dallas Live in Morrissey. He was in Dallas at Starplex. It was in like early 90s. The Kill Uncle tour. Kill Uncle. The rumor was that he got hurt. And there also was rumor that he broke his nose. I didn't do it though. I didn't do it at all. But it was amazing. It was an amazing concert. I, of course, hugged him during Schweighead, which is a song, or during the end of Schweighead, or around there, right before Every Day is Like Sunday. But I hugged him during Schweighead because I was also a James Dean fan. So I thought it was a time to do that. Sorry about that, Morrissey. Yes, I'm truly sorry, Morrissey. I'm truly sorry. I'm so sorry that your nose got broken at the Starplex in Dallas, and you got hurt because everyone mobbed you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh. It was a good lie. It was a good lie. You know how it went? And something about, you say sickened, and I'm so sickened. Yeah, it's very English. It's too English for Dallas. They flipped out. They couldn't handle it. They eat too much barbecue. They asked for a sandwich and I delivered one. I don't know how many got here. They got trampoline. There it is. You can hear the dog now. Morrissey was strange. I mean, he very much was obsessed with James Dean. He went to Fairmont, Indiana, far before all these other vloggers did, for sure. But he did stop off. I think he's in Hollywood now. He's probably still obsessed with James Dean. I have his bio. I have Morrissey's bio. It's like reading freaking James Joyce nearly, or something. It's very complex. You gotta have like a dictionary. He's not your average. Let's just say it's not like Bruce Springsteen's bio, but it's complex. It goes over a lot of British pop culture. it's almost like you probably would rather get the cliff notes on it. It's very complex. But he was quite the poet, and he was quite the writer, and he was serious about James Dean, and probably even the Actors Studio. It'd be interesting to be able to interview Morrissey just because of the depth of his songs and lyrics. It's easy to make fun of him, but he was very serious about all of it. He wasn't joking around. Especially at the time, he was nearly pretty much worshipped by his fans. They would fall to his feet, or you'd throw flowers at him, or you'd hug him. That was common, that type of worship. But it was his poetry that really got him where he needed to be. And he was very much a punk enthusiast. His favorite band was the New York Dolls. And he was a serious writer, and he hated most music of that time, and still does today. He doesn't listen to the radio ever. The poor guy, as they say in England or Manchester, the poor chap. Watch your right and left-hand turns, my friend. Regardless of punk, I like the idea of Morrissey. I like the idea of the Smiths. Stephen Patrick Morrissey. I like the idea. Because you got this guy who does not like the music of his time and does not like the music of this time and is critical. But then he's a big fan of the New York Dolls, which a lot of people did not really... were not big fans of the New York Dolls. The New York Dolls were not like the Ramones or anything like that. So he had a selective taste and chose to stick to that taste, most of his life. I don't think he ever was a musician that sold out, per se. I don't think he ever really did that. I think he stuck to what the Smiths the Smiths did create. The Smiths created a feeling, something original. It was almost like Keats or Yeats, or Oscar Wilde, maybe you could even say, coming up to the microphone in a version, as if he was haunted or demonic, a possession, and then he would begin to spew out this poetry of his own that was influenced by English poets or even Oscar Wilde. So we were getting like this literature happening on stage to this massive drum beat. Johnny Marr's incredible licks on the guitar, and then later in his solo performance he tried to recreate that with some other guys, trying to recreate that kind of Manchester feel, and it was a moment of history. It's very, very much of theater. There's a theater sense to it, but also a punk rock venue. There's like a punk rock feel, but yet it was still poetical, and even sometimes the punk girls would kind of sometimes make fun of it, because they didn't think it was harsh enough. So it's like they listened to the Ramones. My major punk rock concert that I went to in Dallas was the Fugazi. I went to Fugazi, and they are a whole different story. It's effed up, zipped in. They came from surviving the Vietnam age and the abusive fathers that were alcoholics beating on their kids because of Vietnam. That's what Fugazi means. It means F up, gutted, and zipped in. So as a kid, Pantera was from this area. Nobody really knows that. They've got two rock schools here. School of Rocks. They had one over there. They moved it. There's another School of Rock. But Pantera was like right in this area. They would tour at Joe's Garage. Suicidity was there at the time. They were a good band. They had a chance of making it. They even did a Sting cover, or they did a Police cover of SOS. I saw that live. I saw Fugazi at the Bomb Factory originally. This is like early 90s. It was only a warehouse, had no air conditioning. And the bar was makeshift, probably not, they didn't even have their license. It was like a found space. It was like a warehouse that punk bands would show up at. It was called Bomb Factory. It wasn't commercial at all. Now it's just a big commercial mess. Willie Nelson placed there. Not that there's anything wrong with Willie Nelson, but it was a punk venue only. That's what the Bomb Factory was. It looked like a bomb factory. That's why it was called the Bomb Factory. It was in Dallas. But I don't know, I did hang out at Trees. I've never seen a show at Trees, but Nirvana passed through Trees when we were there. Smashing Pumpkins played there too before really they were big at all. Darcy was still in the band, and they showed up at Trees in Dallas. And a chick that I knew, Christina, she hung out with Billy Corgan. She was like a Billy Corgan groupie. And then she told me about it, and she also introduced me into Hard 8, which was a P.T. Anderson film, and that's how I learned about Hard 8. It was right before I left to Hollywood. But we knew all about, Trees incident. We didn't know like everything about it. We just heard that Kurt got hit in the head, but we didn't know the details of it until it later resurfaced on YouTube, until we knew that this Van Blarcom guy hit him in the head, and there was a big fight, and Dave Grohl had to break it up, and all that stuff happened. That all happened, and then we were like, oh, okay. So is Kurt okay? And then later on, Kurt is no longer with us. He went out the hard way. But yeah, there was the Bomb Factory. There was Slip Disc. No one knows about Slip Disc. That was a little tiny club. There was like riots that would break out there. There was Arcadia in Dallas. They had problems too. A guy had got run over by a go-kart and broke his legs, and he had 2 cigarettes that he was smoking in each hand while they were bringing the ambulance. My friend saw that break out in Arcadia. Ramones may have played there, maybe too. They definitely played the Bomb Factory. That's been published, so you can find that online. We're looking at like Slip Disc, Bomb Factory. There was the Granada. That was a punk venue at times. Then Fort Worth was the Ridgely. There was probably Joe's Garage. That's where Pantera played too. I don't know, like Metallica when they were. I don't know if they would have been able to hit those smaller joints. I don't think they would have. They were by that time in the early '90s or so. I don't know how what the crowd was like on a Metallica concert around that time. The garage days of Metallica, probably, I don't know. And I don't think Guns N' Roses, I don't think they would have probably ever been able to play some of those joints or anything. But my amazement about Trees is as small as it is, and it's not a big venue at all. It's very small. How they brought in Nirvana anyway, don't know. And also how they brought in Smashing Pumpkins, I can understand that, bringing in Smashing Pumpkins. But bringing in the Nirvana in a place like that, don't understand it at all. We were all kind of like, what? They're going to Trees? Like Trees is like a small a small little bar. To even think about that is crazy. And then they got almost beat up because they were too close. Morrissey also almost got beat up at the Starplex, but that was a Starplex. Dallas is kind of dangerous for those punk rock venues. And I've heard some stories. There are some stories. Not everyone always came back from a punk rock show, at least without hurting. Because back then, when you got in a pit, it was serious. And if you went against the pit, which a couple of my friends did, that was even more serious. You could really, really get hurt, depending on if there were skinheads there or not. Because in Deep Ellum at that time, skinheads they'd freaking kill people sometimes. They were pretty dangerous. I'm talking about white supremacy skinheads. They were called CHS. They were pretty dangerous. It was a dangerous situation. I saw a fight break out, and I vlogged it on my Samsung 8, but the story of it, and I didn't have a video camera back then. And I was with some pretty rough people. But that fight broke out between what was called the Dallas Ska Skins, or that was kind of a nickname for them. They were called the Ska Boys. They were like ska band punk, the shaved heads into ska music. And they fought some members of the CHS, which were most of them weren't even, none of them were even skins at the time. They were all club. That's how it was so weird, because they would talk about it and they knew their names, and they never changed their names. And so the Confederate Hammerskins were actually there in the parking lot, and a complete fight broke out between them. It's like West Side Story, or The Outsiders. And I was like sitting in my car. There were like 3 chicks in my car, and then one of the ska skins got in my car and told him, "Hey man, your friend's dead." But he didn't die, But it broke out, and like I said, I was new wave. I was kind of Swiss. I was a little bit punk. I wasn't like completely. I didn't really go like, "Hey, I'm a punk," I was more into. I was into Depeche Mode. I was into, like, I don't know, like Joy Division. I got the Smiths later, and I didn't like diss punk rock bands. I didn't dislike punk. I still had jet black hair, and I wore creepers, and at times I'd wear Doc Martens and hung out with the punks. But I didn't go around like saying, hey, I'm punk, you know. But most of the punks it was a very music thing, but they took it, you know, they took it really serious, and people, you know, could have got killed. People later on did get shot and stuff at Pascal and stuff. Vlog almost over. This vlog was done off of 250 and 114 highway. This vlog was done on East State Highway 114. So actually we're at East 250 State Highway 114. It's US 114. This is known as Whitechapel right here. And yes, Pantera was in this area. They did do stuff in this area right here. But Joe's Garage is way on the other side of town. It's closer to like the Lake Worth area, which is way on the other side of town. But they were actually from this area. I'm almost certain this is true.